In this demonstration, we're going to have a look at how we can determine effective permissions for a user on a file that they are trying to access and maybe they can't access it. So the first thing we're going to have a look at is using inherited and explicit permissions. We'll have a look at using the effective access feature. We'll have a look at including additional parameters, and finally we'll have a look at using the effective access with conditions and claims. So if we start with the first bit, what we're going to have a look at here is we've come into File Explorer, we've gone to a folder called Folder 1, and what we want to have a look at this point here is we just want to have a look at the effective permissions for Anthony Lynch, and he is a member of the marketing group. So like I said, we've come into File Explorer, we've come to File 1, and what we're going to do to have a look at the permissions on File 1, we're just going to right click, we're going to come to our Properties, and within our Properties we're going to come to our Security tab. In our Security tab, we can see we have permissions for sales, we can see we have permissions for marketing, and we can see we have permissions for administrators, but at no point does it mention Anthony. So let's click the Advanced button. And on the Advanced button, what we have is we have the ability to come in and we have an Effective Access tab. So if we click on the Effective Access tab, what we can do at this point here is we can specify a user. So we'll select a user, and the user we're going to go for is a user called Anthony. Then we'll select OK. So now we've selected OK, next thing to do is to view his effective access. And based off that, what we can see is we know that Anthony is a member of a group, and the group he's a member of is marketing, and we saw that marketing had full permissions. So we can see at this point here that Anthony has the full control permission, and he's getting that based off the fact he is a member of the marketing group. Another thing we can do in this utility is we can also include group memberships, so we can add items, and at this point here we'll also add in sales. Now what we're doing at this point here is we're adding it in as though Anthony was now also a member of the sales group. Bear in mind though he's not a member of the sales group, but this is going to make it appear as though he is. So now we've added him virtually into that group. We want to see what his effective access would be if we added him into that group. So we can see at this point here he loses his full control and he loses a lot of other permissions. So adding Anthony to that group is removing permissions. So now if we just click the Permissions tab, we can see that if he was a member of sales, the reason why he's losing a lot of functionality is we're denying the sales group the right permission. Now a deny overrides any allows. So based off the fact that his allow permissions are coming from marketing and allow him everything, if we did add him to the sales group, we would deny him the right, because the sales plus the marketing become his effective permissions, but the deny overwrites the allow. So also within here as well, we're just going to select the Add button, and what we're going to do is we're going to select Anthony directly to this file. So we'll click OK, and what we're going to do at this point here is we'll just give him some permissions. So we'll just deny him these read permissions, but we'll give him the write permission. So at this point here we'll just click OK, and we'll just click Apply. Now what we'll do is just come to Effective Access, and what we'll do again is we'll view his effective access, and what we can see now is he's got everything back. So even though he is a member of the sales group, he has got everything back, and that's because his explicit assignment that we've given him at that file level of write overrides the inherited permission coming from above. So what we're going to do at this point here is we're now just going to disable inheritance. So we're going to disable the permissions coming from above, and what we're going to do is we're going to apply the permissions directly at the file level. And we're doing that by clicking the Permissions tab, and then what we're going to do is we're going to disable inheritance. Now we get two options. So we can remove all inherited permissions, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the permissions from above and assign them at this level. Then all we'll do is just apply that. So now what we'll do is we'll come back to the Effective Access tab, and now what we can see is if we have a look down here, he's lost the full control permission, and that's because we now have the marketing group permissions assigned at that level, we have the sales group permissions assigned at that level, and we have Anthony's. So they're no longer inherited from above, they're all assigned at the same level, and as we've already mentioned, a deny always overrides an allow at that level. So let's just remove that sales entry. So we'll remove the sales entry, we'll view the effective access again, we get full control back because he is no longer a member of the sales group, and it was the sales group that was denying really the full control or the right permission. So now what we'll do is just edit some of these permissions. So let's just go to permissions, because we have another way that we can also add in permissions to users. And we can do that by putting conditions in place. So what we're going to do is we're just going to come to the marketing group. We're then just going to edit the marketing group. And what we're going to do now is going to add a condition. So we'll add a condition. And what we'll do at this point here is we'll just modify some of these settings. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a condition limit access. So the principal will be granted specified permissions only if these conditions are met. So we're going to go for user and then city equals, and then we're going to have a value at this point here, and the value we're going to put in place here is going to be Seattle. Then what we'll do at this point here is we'll just click OK. We'll just click apply. So what we've done there is we specified a condition to say the full control permission that is applied to that marketing group will only apply if the user's city equals Seattle. If the user's city does not equal Seattle, then they don't get the marketing permissions. So now what we'll have a look at here is we'll just come to effective access, and we'll see that we've lost all of these permissions. Now the reason why we've lost those permissions is Anthony's city is not set to Seattle. So just what we'll do here for this user is we'll include a thing called a user claim. And what we're going to do with this user claim, if we click on the drop down, we're going to specify city. And then what we're going to do for the value is we're just going to specify Seattle. So we'll put that in place. Then what we'll do is we'll view effective access, and now we can see, because we've put this virtual entry in for the user and specified his city to be Seattle, he now has full control based off the condition we put in place. So if Anthony did have his city set to Seattle, then he would have that full permission. So we'll just select OK at this point here, select OK again, just close everything down, and that's the end of this demonstration of looking at effective permissions within Windows 10. Thank you.